Welcome to SomeGuy's Garage. It's Tool Test Tuesday, and today we're going to take a look at the DeWalt 10-inch portable table saw. So let's take a look at the features. We'll go from left to right, just walking around the saw here. There's a cord holder built in for the extension cord on it. There's handles, those are on either side here, so we'll just quickly take a look at the other side. There's handles to carry it around very easily. On the front, you have your power switch, so it's a lift and a push to turn off. There's your height adjustment here. It's just a crank knob, and you can see the blade will come up and back down. It also has an angle adjustment, so you can loosen this off and tilt the blade either way. See, the blade there is tilted now, but you can tilt it up to 45 or a little over 45 degrees and lock it back in. Just show that once more. On the right-hand side, there's the release for the fence. So that unlocks the fence when it's over this way, and you can then use the knob on the front here to adjust the width of the cut in the fence. Up here on the top, you can actually see they have a built-in measuring tape. And basically, from what I've used over the years on this thing, if you set it on, say, 12 inches, that gives you exactly a 12-inch cut. There's a little bit of room for calibration on that, but it has been pretty bang on. And that's 12 inches from the blade to the fence, and the final cut is actually 12 inches. So it makes it really easy to adjust. And the rack and pinion system here, you can see maybe towards the back here, there's some gear teeth on the bottom of this, actually adjusts the fence front and back at the same time and keeps it perfectly square as well. So it's one of the best fence systems out there. It works really, really well. And then once you have your width, you can just lock it back in with a quick click there. On the fence itself, once we unlock here, you can see once you've gotten out past the edge of the table, there's actually a little flip over guide here that holds up the edge of your workpiece. So even if it is a little wider, it still has some support. And full out, it can go, just looking here, 20¼ inches. So you get a 20-inch wide rip with this sort of saw. It's a shame it's not 24 inches. Some of their newer models that are a little more expensive do have the 24.5-inch rip, but for the most part, you'd be surprised how maybe little you use it. Since the saw is so compact, you don't really want to put a full sheet of plywood through it. This is more for ripping down, say, smaller things that are already maybe 2 or 4 feet wide at most. So just continuing on with the features, we'll bring this fence back in, flip this back over here. You can also see on the side you have a guy or a push stick built in that just slips into the side here, so it's always with the saw, which is quite nice. Up top on the deck, you do have a miter guide. It's all right. It's nothing special, but it does work if you need a miter guide. And then there is also a blade guard. I'm going to take that off, so it's just a simple click there, and then you can lift the whole thing up if the blade is high enough. So I'm just going to lift the blade a little higher here. And you can slip that off. So now that that's out of the way, you can see the blade here comes up 3¼ inches. Again, another little bit of a shame that it doesn't come to 3.5, so you can't actually rip, say, a 2x4 or a 4x4 vertically without taking a second cut. So you can do it kind of halfway through and then flip it over and do the other half, but you can't do it in a single cut, unfortunately. There is a riving knife at the back, so that's good. I haven't had a lot of troubles with this saw binding up. Some table saws, especially if the fence doesn't stay square, can have issues with binding up, but this one doesn't seem to have that problem. There's a release here at the front just to lift out the guard if you have to clean out anything on the inside. You can see inside there now. There is room to get inside and change the blade and things like that. There's one thing to note that I'll just put that back first. One thing to note is you can't use a dado blade with this. The arbor won't support it. It's not wide enough, nor is the room in the fence. It doesn't have an option for that. So you are stuck with just standard blades. Some other features as well. The fence does come off if you want to. So if you did need to make a bigger cut, you still could. So you flip these two things up and the fence will lift off completely. So there's the fence itself, and now it's off the saw. And if we take this out as well, there is a second location for the fence here at the front. So you have the location here and location here, and these are adjustable if you do need to make minor adjustments to square up the saw. But you can put the fence at the front or at the other side as well here. Give me a second there to lock it in at the back. So there, and then again here. What's that? Just like that. So we're locked in on the other side, and now you can actually cut on the other side. You only get 16 inches here instead of the full 20, but it does give you a little more flexibility if you do want to rip on the other side of the blade. So another nice thing about this is it does have onboard storage. There's storage here for a wrench. Also for the guard here, it can get slipped on the front and sits just there on the side like that. So that's also nice to have, that you don't have to kind of have all these accessories lying about here, there, and everywhere. So just turn the saw around, taking a look at the back. There isn't too much more to talk about here. There are a couple leveling feet if you do need to level it, if you're trying to use it on a stand or something like that. And a large dust port here. I think it's 2 1/4, 2.5 inches. It does a fairly good job at keeping the dust from getting into the air and collects most of it. So the saw blade up here collects through there. And there's a large pan here to actually collect the dust and funnel it out the back here where you can hook up your vacuum. Also, while we're under here, I'll shine a little light in there and you can see some of the internals, the motor, and other components as well. So I've just moved downstairs here, have the table saw set up. I just came down here because I have the dust collector, and it's where I keep some of the more bulky tools, including the table saw, miter saw, the welding screen, etc. And so we can do some cutting down here. So you'll see that next. We'll run through a few different pieces of wood, some plywood, and some 2x4s and such, just so you can see how this thing cuts and get a sense for how it works. And here's where the DeWalt table saw places on the tool score charts, tied for first place with the channel lock needle nose pliers. This really is the best portable table saw out there, with the fence system being the highlight feature. So that's the DeWalt 10-inch portable table saw. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.